Happy New Year everyone, I'm Dave, welcome back to Goodford Model Railway. I've been quite busy since the last update, so I'll keep this brief to try and squeeze it all in. So things I've been doing: feather detailing to the station, track detailing, adding in a few of the little extras that make that difference. I've primarily done, most of my focus has been on the depot area in the latest update. A few rolling stock additions that I've been after for a long time now, so I'll go through what I've been doing there, and I've changed the running schedule slightly, so yeah, let's jump into it. So let's start with the station. One thing I mentioned in the last video was the signage. So I did think the signs were a bit too big, but what I've done is taken a few of them out. I've reprinted the ones that are there on gloss paper and high quality, and they've come out all right. I've also added some smaller ones on the lamppost, seems to be quite common for UK stations, so I've done that. Added a new footbridge, so that was just an MDF kit off eBay, giving it a lick of paint. Just little details like the grip bins I've added in. I think they're 3D printed models. Maybe they were from eBay as well. At the back there, a few more bits of details. So vending machines, some rubbish bins. I picked up some of these shelters. So painted them in the same green, black as the footbridge. I've also painted the Syncraft building, the doors in the same green and the detailing in the same green rather than red, just so it fits in a little bit better. Something else quite common in UK stations is these help points. So I've added them on. I think they were from Scale Model Scenery. And then moving down to this end, I finished that off with some anti-trespass grids and fencing so that the maintenance crew can walk down. I've done a similar thing down on this end here, and then added some bits so they can walk across, so the guys can walk down and then get into the depot there. I'll come on to a little bit more of that track detailing later on. So yeah, I think the station's coming along quite nicely now. I still need to do a lot more to it, like I want to add loads of people up on this pedestrianised area at the back here. And I'm still waiting to receive the steps. I ordered them from Scale Model Scenery and they've just got lost in the post, so when I've got those in, then I'll be able to finish that off quite nicely. So yeah, station's coming on really nicely. I'm quite pleased with it. One thing someone did mention in the last video is this signal on the platform. Whilst I think it's quite normal for signals to be on the platform, dare I say it, I did consider moving the signal down to this junction here, but I do think that this is the right place for it. However, I think it does look a bit odd on the platform there and would restrict people walking past. So I've ordered a gantry that will come from this side here and then sit and go above the track there, so I'll take it off the platform. So yeah, I think that's the what else have we done? Just the platform numbers, things like that, just the extra bits of detailing. Yeah, I'd say the station's almost done. I don't want to overdo it. It's meant to be a small town. I don't want to clutter the platform too much. I've said before, I think the platforms are slightly too small. I'm over that now. I think they're probably just about right. But if I squeeze too much onto them, then actually it might make them look a bit too small. So yeah, that's the station. So here's one example of some extra track detailing I've been doing. So it's just a Lineside cabinet set on the stand, it's got the wires coming underneath. I've added more termination boxes, things like that along the trunking, given them a lick of paint. I've also added in all the TPWS grids, and then further around the AWS ramps and more of the grids. Based on what I've read, I think I've got them about right. I don't think they're quite prototypical distance, but I think as an overall picture, I think that works quite well. Just put a bit more wiring in underneath, touched up the ballast around there, and that's common around the whole of the layout. I've added in some speed signs here and there as well. So yeah, I really like all the track detailing. I think it's the sort of thing that you don't necessarily always notice, but when it's there, it does make quite a big difference. So here's an example of some track detailing around the station. I've added in a line of blue catch pits all down the centre of the station, as you can see there. These little gizmos, I think they're for drainage essentially, access to drainage. So again, quite a common sight, but not the sort of thing you'd necessarily notice or think about putting in there. So it just adds that extra level of detail. And there's one of the signs that I mentioned. A few of the signs I've done a while ago, so you can see that 30 sign there, so it's received some of the weathering, same as the 60 sign, but some of the newer ones are still quite clean. But again, I think it could well be that they were fitted or changed at a different time. Something I often find is when you change things on a model railway, or if you add something at a different time, then actually it looks more realistic because things aren't all identical. Yeah, I've added a few rails in down here. Yeah, some more grids and stuff down there. So yeah, I'm quite pleased with the track detailing. I've painted some of the telephones. I think yellow is general, black and white is signals, but I quite like them in yellow, to be honest. I think it makes them all stand out a little bit more. So yeah. So one of the key things I've done since the last update is focus on the depot. So the first thing I did was sorted out the hard standing, although it was quite nice to have a little building site over here because it was so unsmooth. I've smoothed it all off. It was a right pain to do. Whether I'd use grout again, I'm not quite sure, but I think the results do look quite good. I've added a lot of detailing to depot, so Portaloos, I think they need a bit of paint on their 3D printed models. I've got a load more bits, I just need to get the painting done, but I think it's a bit too cold to use the airbrush and stuff at the moment. So yeah, that's the hard standing that's been updated, as you can see. Sorry, getting over the depot light there. Yeah, add a lot more detailing on top of the hard standing. So this bit here, I've changed quite a lot. So I did have a bigger depot, which is a Pico kit. I hate to say it, but I've just changed it to the Bachmann Syncraft one that everyone else seems to have. But do you know what? there's a reason for that. I do really like it. I think it works better. Essentially, it is quite a small depot, so you wouldn't necessarily have a massive shed in there. I've painted the hard standing inside the depot. I need to add a lot more detailing in there, a bit of lighting. I've put a 37 up on jacks in there, put a bogey in there, things like that. The crane is new as well. Not sure whether that would be outside or not, realistically. It would probably be inside a larger depot, but you know what? Goodford doesn't exist, so we can put the crane wherever we like. Let's move around here slightly. So yeah, again, a few more bits of detailing. So you've got a relay unit there, track. I'm not quite sure what that yellow thing is, but something to do with track and maintenance. So I guess it's relevant in depot. Wheels. So yeah, it's just the extra little bits of detail that I've been adding in. So we've got some of these water stand pipes running down there, painted inside this depot as well. See the stand pipes there. So yeah, nothing's really glued down yet. It's not a portable layout, so I probably won't glue a lot of it down, but some of it I will when I'm happy with where things are. So yeah, that's how it's laid out so far. And then over to the fueling point, I've added in some water tanks, which technically will serve the wash plant, a few bins and stuff. Things just been scattered around, but then equally, would everything be particularly all square and neat and tidy in a real depot? Possibly not. And then I've added a sand silo next to where the fueling tanks are. One thing I'm not sure about, and I've been toying with the idea on this fueling area, is where to put fencing, because part of me thinks that this fence here should continue down along the tracks, but equally you would want access from the mess room and the pump station to the tracks, so that's why it's open at the moment. And this bit here, I'm not quite sure whether that's the right sort of join, if you like, connection to the two. So following on from that section, you've got the sort of wasteland bit here, which I feel is almost sort of wasted, believe it or not, wasted area. I guess once upon a time the depot and the tracks may have continued down here. I have toyed with the idea of popping a point in here again, but coming out as a head shunt down here for the depot. I do also dislike model railways where the whole baseboard is covered in track, which is why I've tried to resist. So any ideas anyone may have of something to put in front of the station here, I don't want to restrict the view too much. I'm thinking maybe I could do some sort of building site with digging down or something along those lines, but we'll just make it a little bit more a realistic wasteland. So at the moment I've just done static grass and chucked a few bits on foliage and stuff and left it. So yeah, open to ideas on that one. So onto the rolling stock updates. Some of you may notice when I was running over the depot area, I now have a Transrail 37. This I need to change to renumber to 37240, which is Colas 37, which only was in 2020, which is when the layout's based. Got an old RTC van there next to the other GV, Mark 1 GV, just for sort of depot spares, things like that. Obviously everything needs a lot of weathering. Picked up a few rail track vans again for depot storage, so chuck them in there. And then this wagon at the back here is an old KQA. I've just given it a primer coat of black. I did start trying to paint without the airbrush, but it just won't work. So I think I'll need to wait for the summer to be able to airbrush it. So that'll be a network rail wagon, which will be primarily just in yellow with the ends being black, which I think was around the Derby RTC. For storage again, same as the rest of the wagons. Something else I wanted to talk about was double heading. I do run a lot of trains double headed, and that's just because a lot of trains in the real world in 2020 certainly ran with either top and tail or double headed. Now, I've gone through various different ways of doing this and ended up, just for cost reasons and for ease, of basically making one of the locos a dummy. The way I do that is to simply remove the drive shafts and give it, normally put a decoder in if it's going to run top and tail, just so that the lights will work, and sometimes I'll run it on the same address as the leading loco. If you're going to do that, then I think it's a good idea to remove one of the motor wires, just so the motor isn't sat there spinning with no load on it. So yeah, that's how I've done it. I have spent a lot of time behind the scenes, I guess, not on the layout, over the last few weeks, changing a lot of decoders. I've picked up locos from all over the place with all different sort of sounds and all the rest of it, and I've decided that I wanted as many locos as possible to be Locksound V5, so I have spent a bit of time changing them. I've also decided that to have all locos of the same class having exactly the same sound it's a bit boring, so I've tried to pick up different chips from different people with different sounds on, as well as their V5. So I picked up a couple of different types of Lego Man Biffa sound chips. The point I'm getting to is I've managed to acquire 2 of the Network Rail 37s to run top and tail, and I did put a sound chip in both, and I've actually managed to get them to run in sync really well. So here's a quick running shot of them. So how I've managed to get them to run in sync like that is essentially match their top speed and their speed match. So I use the Roco Z21 software, the app, and it does allow you to do speed matching on there, but I find it's actually easier just to make the top speeds identical and the speed curves identical, and then when you build a consist on the Roco Z21, you don't need to do any speed matching, they will just run in sync. So the train just saw's got the magnetic hunt couplings on, so it's not that secure. If they were to run out of sync, then it would either crush or pull the train apart quite easily. So that's how I'm confident it's running in sync quite well. Before putting any combination into an actual train, into a consist, then I will run the two locos around with about a foot in between, do a few circuits and just see if they stay that distance apart, and if they do, then I'm confident then it'll work properly as a consist. So yeah, I'm on the fence now as to whether I should add some chips into some of the dummies, but that's probably a project for another day. I think I want to go back to focusing on getting more of the actual layout finished off before I worry about doing too much more in that respect. Just to note, the one of the coaches in that consist you just saw was work in progress. I think it's unit 99666. So yeah, it's just a barrier wagon. So I've just used a bit of plastic card over that, spray painted it, but again I need to use the airbrush really. There's a room next door that I use the airbrush in, but there's no heating or anything in it. So yeah, I don't really want to use the airbrush at 0 degrees because it's not going to give a very good result. So something else I've been doing is I get frustrated when I see a Class 66 and it's only got the headlight and top light on it running, which is standard for all Bachmann 66s. As far as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you'd normally have the side lights on as well when it's running in most scenarios. So I picked up some of the little PCBs from Illuminated Models to fit to 66s. I've done a few of them. I'm only doing them on the leading end because as a general rule, I don't run that many light engines. I normally just run everything with something behind it. So eventually I will investigate and work out how to change tail lights to being independently controlled, but as it stands, I literally just turn all the lights off on one end by sticking bits of electrical tape over the contacts, so they just don't work. And then I've focused on putting these PCBs on the leading end where the driver is. So here's an example shot of one running round. They're really quite easy to fit. You just unsole the pads. The instructions with them are really quite straightforward. If you're confident person when it comes to soldering. You won't have any issues. It does involve soldering, so if you're not confident doing soldering, then I'd still have a go, to be honest, because it's not small contacts, they're all really big contacts. So give it a go. They're only a few quid each, so it's a worthwhile upgrade in my opinion. Makes all the difference. This is possibly more of an update for me, for my own information, rather than letting you guys know, but I do think that having a way of operating a layout is quite important. I thought about doing a timetable, but I think it's a little bit too rigid, and I have gone through various different track plans and ways of doing things, but the one I've settled on now is essentially the depot is an engine maintenance facility for the Colas and Network Rail locos. The depot runs down at the moment into this road here, which is what I would call a runaround loop for sort of holding. So trains and things can come off the main line and then run into here, so they don't foul and block the main line. Ready to reverse into the depot. It would also act as a head shunt, so this is not a main line. I'm talking about the line closest to us. So the line next to it, which is running next to the platform, again that's just an extra platform loop, I guess. And then coming off of there is what I refer to as the branch line, and that runs down the other side of the fence next to the main line. So you've got 3 tracks going under the tunnel there. Now, I was using it as a branch line or as an extra sort of main line, almost like a little junction down here, because under this bit here, all the tracks meet up and go into 2 tracks. So you can actually go from the outer line all the way under there, just a double slip, you can just about see it. And you can go from the outer line all the way through to the inner line here to run into the depot. So that's all possible. So the way I am now running it is having this branch line, which runs, sorry if you're getting giddy with all this running around, which runs into these 3 footer-yard tracks down here, to have them as sort of holding siding for stuff that goes into the depot. So in my little world of Goodford, this branch line actually goes to more facilities behind the depot, i.e. the vehicle maintenance, vehicle storage, that sort of thing. So rolling stock storage, rolling stock maintenance, should I say, rather than vehicle. So when a test train is finished doing what it does, things would stop off behind the scenes, and then the loco would detach and then come down this branch line, then run into here, and then back into the Goodford Depot area for maintenance. Now, the reason I'm explaining all this is because of this hill here, because it's something, I think it's probably one of the first bits of scenery I did, and whilst I think it looks okay, I'm not convinced now that it fits in entirely with the rest of the scene. It just looks a little bit out of place. So ideally I want to try and work out a way of creating this as being one branch of a bigger depot. Obviously I won't be building that because there's a big wall behind here. However, the track curves around right under this bit here, so it's just a case of trying to squeeze in a building or something or maybe I thought a road over bridge. If I was to do it again, I may move the depot building further forward and have a road bridge cutting across there, just so that it doesn't appear to curve round quite so much. So that's probably something I'll look at doing when I finish the rest of the layout. There's not a lot more to do, I don't think, when it comes to primary scenery. I still need to do the shopping centre and finish off this end of the station. That's something that's been put on hold because I think that's quite a major project. And then the only other bit of scenery that I really need to focus on, nothing around here has really changed. I need to do the planning of this house and the area there, and then it's just this bit here. I've added a bit of wood on to be able to finish that off. I think I'll just do a hill going up, maybe with the road going across. So yeah, when all that's done, then I think I might come across here and review another way of doing that. So any ideas anyone might have of how that could work? At the moment I'm thinking some sort of building and the tracks just sort of disappear behind or underneath the building, but making that work from all angles. So if you're sat all the way down here and you're looking at it, is that still gonna work well? I'm not so sure. Or maybe I do a similar concept to what I've done over here and just pull the back seam in. So actually the back seam would come in and jut in around where this bridge is and then go straight across down there, and then something in front of it. So yeah, food for thought. Any ideas? Gladly listen to them. Thanks very much for listening today, guys. That's it for now. I probably will do another update in another few weeks or a month or so. Still lots more to do, lots more detailing to add. It's just finding the time to do it. Now I'm back to work, it's a little bit less time to do this sort of thing, but I'm sure I managed to squeeze it in evenings and weekends. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and I'll see you guys soon. Cheers.